Hello from Barbados, it's Annick, your favorite nutritionist, coach, trainer, author. And today I'm sitting with you with the sunset, trying out different lightings. And today we are really going to talk about the biggest challenges most people are finding when it comes to getting to your healthier self. And the frustrations, because it can be so frustrating when you're trying to be healthy and fit and you have to juggle a lot. You got family, you got money, you got your time, you got your work. And where does health fit into all of that? So that's our topic for today that we're going to chat about. And then some exciting news is that I am exploring some of my dreams that I always wanted to do, which is to have a little interview setup. So soon we'll have an interview set up here where I'll have tea with a guest and have that recorded as well, which is pretty cool because, okay, so one of the biggest problems is that balance, right? So it's like, how do we find that balance where when you have a family and time commitments and career, what is the best strategy? And for me, what I've learned and what I coach is time management and how to really optimize your schedule to fit everything in and have the right team around you, whether that includes having to delegate. Mostly it's a lot of delegation and like how to like let go and let things be, and then what you have to focus on the most for your results. So balance is hard, but that's why I created Green Balance, my Green Balance by Organnick. It's a few things going on there, but it's all about the balance because it is something that us humans do crave. Okay, so this is a good challenge that I hear a lot in my work. So I emotionally eat and I love the taste of baked goods and milk chocolate. I mean, how can you even get rid of that? Like, it's such a frustration, yet it's such a comfort. Like, I totally get it. That is one of the hardest ones to give up, because if you're in that routine where pastries and baked goods in your day-to-day, they're so moist, they're so comforting, the texture is so fluffy, chocolate is such, it boosts our serotonin, it gives us that dopamine, it makes us feel good, it's a sensual comfort, and it can be very addicting. So if you're struggling with something like that, then we have to work through some of your emotions and build an emotional support toolkit to wean off of those foods, at least like as frequent, and manage and communicate those emotions in a healthy way so that you can have a treat from time to time, but it's not something that you are constantly feeling bogged down by the addiction of it. I also find that people struggle a lot with sticking to a routine when traveling, and usually go to the baked goods and like keeping that routine, so it makes it even harder to break out of when you're trying to be healthy and you're traveling and you have all of these things. Luckily, if you're working with someone like me, I help you manage all of that, so you don't have to worry about it and you build skills very quickly with coaching. Okay, this is another one. I know what to do, but I break often. I stress eat and fold. Okay, so that is interesting because sometimes we know better and like we know what to do, but we run away from it and we avoid it as much as we can because we get stressed, and then what we do know is how to cope with junk food. Which is okay. It's like you can't blame yourself if you don't have the skills and the tools. Like, yes, you might have knowledge, but it was Brendan Burchard, one of my favorite authors, that said, if you know, don't quote me on this, it's not in these precise words, but the gist of it was basically a lot of people have the intelligence, but it doesn't mean that they're actually doing or taking those actions. So sometimes you might have a library of knowledge in your mind, but if we look at your habits and your schedule and your day-to-day, it's not aligned at all. So building that routine, those habits and those action steps really is what takes you to the next level. And the only way to really succeed in keeping those habits as a sustainable development is really in building that neuroplasticity where you're working with someone to create new brain connections in your mind behind some of your routines, where you're going, your triggers, and working through all of that stuff to be able to help you make those decisions that you actually deep down want to make. It's just you have not really been practicing how to build the habits and the skills, which it happens to a lot of people. Like, there's so many people that will tell you, oh, I know all about nutrition and I know all about fitness, but when it comes to day to day, they might still be very overweight, and you might be overweight. You might be one of those people, but it's not a bad thing if you want to work on it, and that you can acknowledge that that's where you're at. And that is a first step. You're ahead of the game if you have that knowledge. So it requires a lot less teaching. It's just you have to actually learn how to put it into practice now. So some people don't even have the knowledge. So I would say kudos to at least keeping educated and like keeping in the know. And the next step for you is integrating that knowledge into your day-to-day, which is really more exciting. But I know it's hard to like break old patterns and build new ones. Like, I've been there. I've had to let go a lot of habits and myself. So I totally understand and I get it. All right. So restriction, binge cycle, and decision fatigue. Oh gosh, we know that one very well. Okay. So restriction, this is like the common dieter, right? The common dieter is going to look at themselves in the mirror, either in the night before bed or in the morning, and say, oh my gosh, my clothes are not fitting, this is a problem. Or I'm having acid reflux, or I'm having really bad migraines, and there's definitely a problem, so I'm not eating all day tomorrow, and I'm just gonna like fast. And then what happens is either late at night, that night, or they go through the whole day, and then by time they realize they're starving and they need food, they're so hungry that they will just eat way more calories than is necessary. And this is a cycle that happens and repeats. And it sometimes is psychological. Like, I've experienced it when I was an early teenager, because I used to look at all the magazines and I was like, oh my God, I want to be thin. And then I'd be like, I'm not eating tomorrow. And then I fell into this trap early on. So like, to get out of it really took a lot of like skills, and obviously I'm a nutritionist, so I know how to like have a healthy relationship with food through the science part of it. But it's just a common mistake, so like, don't even feel bad if you have it. Just know that you can work through it and it's solvable. I think that's an important part to note. And decision fatigue, it's like, you make decisions all day in your routine, whether you're a parent or an entrepreneur or a boss, or just what to wear, where to go, what is your priorities for work. There's so many decisions to make on a day-to-day basis. When it comes to food, it's like, I'm exhausted. I haven't thought this through at the beginning of the week. I've made no food plans. What is the nearest, quickest, convenient thing? And that is what tends to happen. That is one thing we work on trying to avoid through strategic planning and meal planning with your family, or even with yourself, on how to manage these different events in life and also different environments that we have thrown into or you're thrown into. Because if we are aware, make some decisions early on, by the time we reach that, okay, I'm hungry trigger, then we have already made up our mind, or we have already ordered or pre-ordered in an hour before to know, okay, I'll need this delivered by the time it's lunch in the morning so that it's on time. Okay, hope you enjoyed this and it was helpful.